And our political editor, Robert Pesson, joins me here. Robert, Michael Gove has decided to stay. Amber Rudd is brought back, and there's a not widely known MP that's brought in as Brexit Secretary. So what does all this mean?
So that new Brexit Secretary, Stephen Barclay, I met him a couple of times, don't know very much about him, so I contacted one of the most prominent figures in the Vote Leave referendum campaign to say, had he played a big role? And the reply came back, who? Now, that tells you absolutely everything you need to know about what has been happening in this reshuffle. When the Brexit Secretary job was created 2.5 years ago, it became one of the big offices of state, arguably as important as the Chancellor of the Exchequer, more important than the Foreign Secretary. It therefore had to be filled with a really big figure and a really prominent Brexiter in David Davis. Then David Davis resigns because he didn't like the Prime Minister's Chequers proposals for Brexit, replaced by another very prominent Brexiter, Dominic Raab, widely seen as the sort of protégé of David Davis. But now with this latest phase, the publication of the terms of our withdrawal, the withdrawal agreement, so many Brexiters have been alienated, and it's so clear now that it is not the job of the Brexit Secretary to negotiate Brexit, it is the Prime Minister's job, that she's had to appoint, well, she has appointed a relative unknown. Now, people say he's a Brexiter, but frankly, she could have appointed almost anybody competent to this job, and it just shows you that she knows that she's past the phase where making appointments keeps her the disunity between Remainers and Brexiters under wraps. She has to now take on the true Brexiters to get her deal through.
And briefly, I mean, she's not out the woods completely, is she? I mean, with regard to a vote of confidence.
The true Brexiters, as I say, as shown by this appointment, have been alienated. They are hopping mad. But, you know, after all that anger of the last couple of days, they are beginning, some of them, not all of them, to wonder whether this is the right moment to push her out. So those who were saying on Thursday, we're definitely going to put letters in, have decided to spend the weekend talking to their local associations, talking to their local members. I am told that it is still likely that we will get that threshold of 48 letters passed on Monday, and that there therefore will be that no confidence vote. But there's just a little bit of a pause for breath. And actually, as Steve Baker implied, one of the leaders of the Brexiters, it is not 100% certain that she will be tested on this occasion. Although I have to tell you, she will be tested at some point.
She certainly will, in a very difficult week that's coming up. Robert, thanks very much indeed, as always. Now, Theresa May talked once again today of her admiration for the cricketer Geoffrey Boycott and his ability to relentlessly carry on, an ability that might come in handy from what Robert was just saying. Like the Prime Minister, her hero had plenty of his own critics, though, who didn't see his dogged determination as an asset. So would the people of Yorkshire, Boycott's home county, give the Prime Minister another innings?
The thing about Geoffrey Boycott was he was absolutely steady. He kept there at the crease. He carried on.
Aside from its connection to her favourite cricketer, the Fitzwilliam Miners Club isn't a place you'd expect Theresa May to find much comfort. But regulars listening to her this morning seem to have as much respect for her as for the batsman she so admires.
She'd stand in the ground, which is, I think, is a good thing, because somebody's got to stand the ground, otherwise it'll be a complete shambles.
The only thing I would consider is whether or not she's hard enough to be going in and banging her fist on the table in order to get the right deal. And there possibly are better people for that, but certainly for the time being there isn't anybody better.
But it's Geoffrey Boycott's staying power that Theresa May really hopes to emulate.
Boycott was hit on the chin, but it takes more than that to knock him out.
Yet his determination was sometimes called bloody-mindedness. The area where he grew up voted by 2/3 to boycott the EU. And outside his old school, there are doubts about the PM's delivery.
Being very stubborn and digging her heels into things, that is something I've noticed with her personality type.
Is that what we need right now?
Probably not, because it's not terribly effective in negotiating.
She never wanted to leave EU, so she's obviously going to do what she wanted to do, because I don't think she ever wanted to really leave.
There wasn't any cricket being played in Fitzwilliam today, but there was some bowling. And people here are also batting for the Prime Minister. Jean Atack went to school with Geoffrey Boycott. She blames Theresa May's teammates.
I think she's done what she could have done against all odds, and it's always seemed to have been the men in Europe and the men in a party.
At times, Geoffrey Boycott was disliked enough to be run out by his own team. Despite some support here, Theresa May's innings may yet end the same way. Ben Chapman, News at 10.